All right, I really apologize for that delay. And we are live. Thank you.
Okay, we're ready to go. Hello, this is Gwen Whistler. I'm the Vice Mayor of the City of Asheville and the Chair of the Boards and Commissions Committee. I apologize for the delay. We were having some technical difficulties, but I'd like to welcome you to the June 26th remote meeting regarding the Joint City-County Monument Task Force. All council committee members and staff are participating virtually. We appreciate your patience as we work through holding these committees a bit differently. To help our audience follow along, I'll state each section of the agenda aloud. We are streaming live on our Virtual Engagement Hub, which is accessible through the Virtual Engagement Hub link on the front page of the city website. We also have an option for the public to listen live by phone. For those of you out there with us today, welcome. And again, I apologize for the delay. For today's meeting, we have the option for people to call in and comment live during the meeting. To call in and comment live, use the same number, 855-925-2801, meeting code 9484. Your phone will be muted and you will hear the meeting live. At this point, callers will hear, for more options, please press star. By pressing star, that allows the callers to continue to listen live and join the speaker queue. Callers should only join the speaker queue during the time at the end of the agenda for public comment. If you are watching the meeting through the live stream while you are listening to the meeting by phone, please be sure to turn down the volume on your device. I'll now go through and introduce all the committee members and staff who are participating virtually. Please make sure to unmute your microphone if you are not speaking. When you would like to speak, unmute your microphone. And then please remember to mute your microphone after you speak. So I'm going to introduce you and ask you to just give everyone a brief hello. Councilman Keith Young.
Good afternoon.
Councilman Brian Haynes.
Hello.
Assistant City Manager Richard White.
Good afternoon.
City Attorney Brad Branham.
Hello, everyone.
Equity and Inclusion Director Kimberly Archie.
Good afternoon.
And Deputy City Clerk Sarah Terwilliger.
Hello.
Okay, great. So I'm going to go ahead and start this meeting. May I get so the first item is approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion and a second, and because of the law for these virtual meetings, every time we vote on something, we need to do a roll call. So I'm going to ask for an aye or a nay by roll call. So Councilman Young?
Aye.
Councilman Haynes?
Aye.
And I also approve, so the minutes have been approved. We only have one item on the agenda for today's discussion, and I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Archie to go ahead and present that.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Thank you, committee. As the presentation is loading, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to come and present to you today what I plan to discuss, and we can move forward with the slide, is to present information about the, can we move forward with the slide, please? Thank you. What I am presenting today is about the proposed application and appointment plan for the Joint Vance Monument Task Force to give some recommendation on the scope and the expectations of that joint task force, share the support staffing details around the task force, and then make the final request of the Boards and Commissions Committee to approve and provide additional direction as we move forward with the task force. Next slide, please. So just as a reminder, you all, as part of the full council, on June 9th approved a joint resolution, and Buncombe County Board of Commissioners approved on June 16th a resolution that would remove 2 Confederate statues that are located at the Buncombe County Courthouse and Pack Square Park, and then also establish a jointly appointed task force to recommend action regarding the removal or the repurposing of the Vance Monument, and then to also honor the local history of African Americans. Next slide, please. In the resolution, the task force was set up for it to consist of up to 12 members appointed by both the 2 governing boards, the County Commission, as well as the City Council, 6 each. The task force is to gather citizen input, and particularly input from those most impacted by the monuments, and also participate in public dialogue. And the task force is to present their recommendations within 90 days or 3 months of the completion of all membership appointments. So just as a reminder, that was the resolution and what was contained in the resolution. So today I'm going to talk about the application and appointment plan. We've met a staff group from the city and a staff group from the county met together and talked about what we were hoping to see in the actual paper, the application, which would be paper and electronic, and came up with a timeline that we would like to propose. Now, the Buncombe County Commissioners were interested in holding interviews for each of their 6 to fill their 6 appointees spots. And with that in mind, they needed to put together a timeline that would allow them to do that and still announce their members on July 21st. So although it may not feel like a joint process right now, because they have already posted the application and are receiving applications from folks, it is still really a joint process in that we work together in the planning, and then we will work together again when at the closing date of the city's applications, which I'll get to. But I did want to just say real quickly that this is Buncombe County's timeline. They opened the application on the 23rd. It'll close on July 7th. They will review, and they're using a rating process to rate the applications. They plan on holding interviews July 8th through the 19th, and then their 6 appointees that reside outside of the city limits will be announced at their July 21st meeting.
So Kimberly, can I just,
Sure.
So they've committed that they're only appoint people from outside the city limits?
That's correct.
Okay.
That was part of our discussion, a way to delineate who was going to do what. And so they're paying attention to those that live outside of the city limits, and the role for city council is for inside the city limits. Okay, next slide, please. So the application link is up already on the Buncombe County site. And again, this joint application that we put together really does ask folks if they live in the city or if they live outside city limits. And the link will be posted on both websites, and we'll receive applications both electronically as well as by paper to make sure that those who may have barriers to electronic submission can still apply. The collection vessel or software that we're using to collect and to collect applications is being hosted by Buncombe County. It's their grant management software. So that's one of the reasons why we chose to have them host all of the applications. And then when the time comes for us to close our application period, they will send over to our the county clerk will send to the city clerk all of the applications that were submitted, again, that were for folks that live inside the city limits. And we will have access to our applications at that time. On the application, just so that you know, if you haven't seen the actual application, it does ask for them to share their interest in wanting to be a part of this task force, what some of their past experiences are that help them want to participate in this task force, and how they can contribute to the goal of the task force, what their perspectives are on racial equity in Asheville and Buncombe County. And then we ask for a small amount of demographic information to help us understand what our diverse mix of folks that will be on the task force. Next slide, please. So with that information, what I want to propose is that we open our city process on the 29th of June, which is next week, and it stays open for the 2 weeks. So that would have it close on July 10th. After it closes, the county clerk will send all citywide applications over to the deputy city clerk for the city, of course, and that person would send all the applications to council members so that council members can review them and get prepared to make their decisions on who they would like to move forward. Week of the 20th, I was proposing that the Board and Commissions Committee meets and reviews and provides recommendations to the full council, for the full council to then make the 6 appointments on July 28th. If there's questions about that, I'd be happy to take those. I know that there may be an adjustment that you want to make on that, and I'm happy to do that if that's necessary. Okay.
Now,
Go ahead.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
Well, let me bounce this off the rest of the committee, but typically when we appoint a board that's like this size, or one that has the profile that something like this has, what we have done in the past is we have, rather than the Boards and Commissions Committee making a recommendation, we typically ask the entire council to vote for, each person votes for the number of members, and then we tally up, and it's based on the highest number of votes for the top 6 people. And I guess I was thinking that I would propose that that's the way we do this appointment also. So I guess I kind of need nods from the other committee members to see what you think, or disagreement about that, or discussion.
Kimberly, was there any particular reason to continue our normal process? Was there a thought process behind that, just to continue our normal process, or?
Right. I was recommending what I understood as your regular process for boards and commissions, not necessarily for a task force. I unfortunately was not around the last time that the Boards and Commissions Committee selected a task force. So there was the only thought was that to continue the process that I know that you all had been using.
Right. I appreciate that. We had a little sidebar discussion about that, and I'm okay to move forward in either manner. I think the Vice Mayor mentioned all council members making a vote on this. I feel it's large enough that can apply. So I'm okay with that, Gwen, if we need to make a change.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that as well.
Okay. All right. So we'll just adjust that. Okay.
Yep, we'll make that adjustment. Not a problem at all. Thank you so much. Sure. I've got a little bit more information to share with you. So as we move on to the next slide, I'm sorry. Let's go back to the last slide real quickly. So we'll make the adjustment as far as the Boards and Commission Committee meeting again. And instead, that time frame from the 14th of July until let's say the 25th or so of July, the full council will have access to all the applications to be able to review them and prepare to take the vote on July 28th. Right, so we'll coordinate with the deputy city clerk will, I'm sure, coordinate with the city clerk's office and the city clerk to get that all on the agenda for the 28th. All right, thank you. We'll move forward from there. The additional information that I wanted to share was about the scope and expectations of the task force. So in the outline, in the resolution, it does state that the scope of the task force is to recommend the removal and or repurposing of the Vance Monument within legal requirements. And the second task is to identify and recommend African Americans to honor the local history of Asheville and Buncombe County. And so in addition to that, wanted to just propose adding some other expectations around the scope, or adding to the scope around making sure that the recommendations that are coming from this task force will include fiscal implications, so an understanding of what it will take to remove or repurpose the Vance Monument, that they would also develop and implement an inclusive community engagement plan as part of their work, ensuring that there is broad community engagement, especially of those most harmed and or most negatively impacted by the Vance Monument, and then that their part of their scope is to quickly set up and select a chairperson, a vice chairperson, and or secretary if they have the means to do so. I come from a place where I kind of believe that it's difficult for a member of a task force to also be the secretary. So on the commissions that I help to serve and support, we've been taking notes most recently. So city staff have been taking notes so that they can fully participate. But those are the scope, additional items of the scope that I'd like to propose.
Kimberly, may I interrupt your presentation for just one moment and ask a
Sure.
question? Could I hold my question to the end?
No, please go ahead, ask your question.
In your proposed additions, is it the scope of this body? Will county and city be providing staff to help facilitate conversation, or will this group are we asking this group to facilitate their own conversation based on guidelines? And then also, will there be legal from either the city or the county to help keep this group inside the guidelines of what they can and cannot do?
Yes to both of those. And I have a slide that describes a little bit more about that. But yes, there is support from both the city and the county as far as staff and legal support from our legal offices to move this task force forward and enable them to do the work that they are asked to do. We can go to the next slide. So to continue on with the scope and expectations, just to be very clear and transparent about some of the expectations, we'd like to, since both the county and the city will have their appointments made by the 28th of July, we are expecting the first meeting to get scheduled within the first 2 weeks of August, and that they would put together a meeting schedule across the 90 days that they're to meet to come up with recommendations about the Vance Monument. I know that from some other task force, we've had some issues with attendance, et cetera. So just wanted to put out there and again, be as transparent as possible that the expectation is at least the 80% scheduled meeting attendance. If the committee is interested in increasing that, I'd love to hear your opinion on that. We anticipate one meeting a week. I don't know if that's actually feasible because it's difficult for folks to meet that often, as well as the research and activity that needs to happen between meetings. but at least we're putting it out there that there's an expectation that there's a lot of activity and that there's enough time, that there's a lot of time that will be taken and expected of the members of the task force, as well as staff. We expect folks to actively participate in the planning, the gathering of data and input, also the evaluation of facts and alternatives, and reaching consensus on the final content for the report. And then in addition to this task force, we doing the work of the task force, we expect them to maintain a connection and include input from other boards and commissions that are existing that touch on this topic. And that would be the African American Heritage Commission, which is a joint commission between the city and the county, the Human Relations Commission of Asheville, the Historic Resources Commission, which I believe is a city commission only, and the Public Art Commission, which is also a joint commission of the city and county. Those were the commissions that I was able to think of that attached to this. And if there are others, we would be happy to make sure that they're connected as well.
The only one that comes to my mind is the Downtown Commission. I don't know that they would be interested in participating or not. I mean, I'm not clear on that. And then, is there any standalone county ones that anyone can think of? I mean, I don't know the counties, whether they have boards and commissions or so. Anyway, but that can always be added, I guess.
So I'm in close contact with the lead for the county, and that's Assistant County Manager Takesha Wesley. And if there are any other board or commissions that are solely the counties, I'm sure that she will make those recommendations, and we'll be happy to again make sure that we stay connected to them and either consult or work to make sure that their input is a part of this process. Next slide, please. So as Keith was asking earlier, this
One
is
second, Kimberly.
Sure.
Is someone not muted? We're hearing a lot of conversation. Okay, I think they dropped off. Thank you.
It might be me. Okay, so the support staff details are these: that the city of Asheville put together a team, and it's kind of split into two. As a result of the resolution, we know that there was a request for the shrouding of the Vance Monument, and then there's the actual technical pieces of the removal of the other two monuments. So we have a task force team that's meeting, and then we also have an internal technical team that's meeting around the monuments that are on city property. And so the representation from the City of Asheville task force team includes the Office of Equity and Inclusion, the City Clerk's Office, Community and Economic Development, Communications and Public Engagement. And then in addition, we're meeting with the technical team for the city, and that's representation from the City Manager's Office, City Attorney, Capital Projects, Development Services, Parks and Recreation, Community and Economic Development, and Planning and Urban Design. The Buncombe County team composition includes folks from the County Manager's Office, Community Engagement, the County Clerk's Office, Communications, and their general services for the monuments that are on their property. And the city manager and the county manager will identify the staff that will liaise with the task force, including but not limited to providing communications and resource support. I'm suggesting that we contract with an independent facilitator to help them move through the process, and then access to public data and information as well as legal guidance. That's what our role as staff support and liaisons will be.
Thank you. Kimberly, are you anticipating that these meetings will be virtual or in person?
Well, we know where we are right now today, and that we have until sometime in July before the governor plans on looking at if we're moving to phase 3. So right now we're in the planning for them to be virtual. If there's an opportunity for face-to-face meetings or all together meetings at some point over that 90-day period, that would be great. But we are planning for virtual meetings because those are harder.
Right. Okay.
And take more planning.
Right.
And then the
You don't spend
engagement.
on that.
Right, exactly. If we need to find a location, we can always do that, right? But the technical parts of meeting in the days of these current days of COVID mean that we have to do the planning for the virtual as well as the community engagement. We'll have to be creative with that. If there are any other questions, next slide, please. So you've already pretty much approved the staff recommendations, but this was the final request was to allow for the joint application to be hosted and compiled by the county clerk, to advertise and accept city applications from June 29th to July 10th, for the deputy city clerk to send all eligible applications to city council on July 14th, and then for the city council to make 6 appointments on July 28th. And that's the end of my presentation to you today. If you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them.
The only question I would have, and I'm not sure it's to you, Kimberly, it may be more to Brad. What's your plan to communicate to the task force? I mean, what I want everyone to understand is, I don't want them to feel empowered to do something and then later on the legal implications come back and we have to say, well, no, you really can't do X, Y, and Z. So are we going to be ready at the beginning of at their first meeting to kind of outline that and then sort of empower a staff person or someone to make sure that the task force stays within those legal boundaries? Just again, I just don't want disappointment or misunderstanding in this work.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. It's an excellent question. Our plan is to coordinate through Kimberly, and I believe the most practical way forward would be for me to attend the first, at very least, meeting of the task force and give an informational presentation about what sort of legal framework they're working within. And then we're going to continue throughout the process being a resource for them to answer questions as they begin to delineate possible options. We plan on being a resource for them throughout that process.
Okay. Keith or Brian, do you have any other questions?
I don't have any other questions.
Neither.
Okay, so I don't know that we need a formal motion to go ahead and authorize going forward on this, but I would like some visible nods. Okay, perfect. So, and this, okay. So we're going to go ahead and say, go forward and do good work, and looking forward to the applications. I do have one question. All these other, the additional scope and the idea of attendance and what the commitment is, can we make sure that the county includes those also? I mean, I know that we can't dictate to the county, but that expectations are the same with our applicants and their applicants. I'm assuming that the time commitments, et cetera, have been, that you've discussed that with other county members, but I did not see those things on their, in their public, when they advertise for this. So I just think that, if we could gently suggest to the county to have the same expectations of their applicants as our applicants would be great.
So that was discussed a little bit between the staff groups, and on the county's website where the application link is housed, they actually have a paragraph that mirrors much of what was put in about expect one meeting a week and over how much time, et cetera.
Oh, good. That's great.
And that there might be additional scope added to the task force based on the resolution.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so that concludes the formal portion of our meeting. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up for public comment. So we have gotten transcriptions of the pre-recorded comments, and I just warn everyone that no human has read those, so the transcription is rough. So when you're reading those comments, just note that. So you've already, the committee's already gotten a chance to see all those public comments, but now we will go ahead and take live comments if there are any, up to 1 hour. So I'm going to, but I guess before I do that, does Keith or Brian, do you have anything else that you want to weigh in on before public comment?
I don't, Madam Vice Mayor, no.
Okay.
Nor do I.
Okay, great. So do we have anyone in the speaker queue?
We have one caller at this time.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Steve Rasmussen. Can you
Great,
hear me?
we can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, there's a recording going on while I'm talking. I am very interested in this committee as someone who's studied and written about the history of the Vance Monument, and also as a member of a community that would be quite impacted by its removal as well. And I'm hoping that this committee will also look at cultural demographics and consider who would be impacted by its removal. To quite a few of us, like me as a Wiccan, this was quite a surprise to hear it characterized as a Confederate monument, because it was built by local Masons as imitation of the Washington Monument. Nobody really knew. I mean, I wrote an article about the Vance Monument and its history in 2003 for the Mount Express while I was a reporter there. And nobody knew about Vance's racism. Believe me, it was very, very well kept secret. Now that I've found out, I'm horrified and certainly want to see the label changed on that monument. But I also want to argue for inclusion of people who consider that monument not Confederate at all, but something sacred to their own tradition. For instance, the Jewish community, which B'nai B'rith used to lay a wreath of Galax leaves every year at the base of that monument in honor of the good thing that Vance did, which was to argue for religious tolerance of Jews at a time when there was great prejudice against them in this country. So, very mixed character, yes, and certainly it deserves to have more names on there. But I also think that it's good that you're including the Historic Resource Commission, and I just want to make sure that there is a true diversity of opinions on this committee, because that's our strength in Asheville. When we're faced with polarization, we find a way for everybody to win by honoring and using our diversity. All right, this thing is breaking up, so I'm going to just say thank you very much.
Thank you. We have some more callers on the line, and I just want to remind folks that you have 3 minutes, and at the end of the 3 minutes, you'll hear a bell, and I'm going to ask you to wrap up, and so that we give everyone an opportunity. So go ahead, Ashley, if there are other folks.
Kathleen Todd, your line is open.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay, fabulous. Just wanted to double check. All right, thanks so much for the time. I just wanted to say a couple quick things. I have been doing my best to hear both sides of this argument, and I do appreciate what the last caller said about diversity in the community. But one of the things that I want to say is for folks who see the removal of a Confederate monument as being erasure of our history, I just would like to say to those folks that it is not anybody's intention to erase history. As a matter of fact, I believe that it is our intention to bring forward history and remind folks of what the Confederacy fought for. Although that is widely debated, I think it's something that we can't entirely ignore, that slavery was a huge reason the Confederacy fought against the Union. And so I think to really look at it from both perspectives, I believe that a lot of folks don't want to continue to glorify Confederate soldiers and military officers who were fighting for things that we no longer wish to contribute to or glorify or hold in this country. And I do think that folks who, still look back at the Civil War with, kind of romantic, reminiscing emotions towards it, I really implore those folks to look at everything that took place in the Civil War and really ask themselves if they'd like to go through something like that again. And I think taking steps to remove Confederate monuments is a huge statement to Americans in this country that we do not support those ideologies. And I would really love to see Asheville take that step because we are in the South and we do have folks who do still reminisce about the Confederacy. And I think it's important for us to, as a country, really stand up and say we do not stand by those ideologies and we won't allow it. Otherwise, we're implicit in the inherent violence that comes with those ideologies. I haven't heard the bell yet, but I'm going to go ahead and wrap up. And I want to say thank you so much for your time and for hearing my voice today. Bless you all.
Thank you. Okay, you don't have to use the whole 3 minutes. Okay, next caller.
Hi, City Council. Thanks for being with us today. My name is Victoria, and I am from Buncombe County. I would like to say I appreciate the fact that you guys have put together or are in the midst of putting together a task force team. I think that is a great idea. I hope that as you go through the applications, you will strongly prefer to pick Black, Indigenous, or people of color to be on this committee. I personally have put in an application because I would love to be a part of the decision making. I also hope that outside of the committee, you guys will heed the call of the people that have been writing to you, and also some of the heads of the organizations around here of like the Racial Justice Coalition and Black Asheville and Black Lives Matter. I hope that you will take into consideration more than just the 12 people that are going to be on the committee. But again, I think it is great that you guys are putting it together, and I look forward to keeping in touch and watching how everything unfolds. Thank you guys for being with us.
Thank you.
There are no more callers in the queue.
Okay. Well, with that, we will adjourn. And but I did want to thank Kimberly for all your work. I know that the more people you get involved, the more complicated it becomes. And this one's not going to be an easy lift, but it's good work. So with that, I will adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.